What if the key to accepting others was first accepting yourself? What if understanding your natal chart could give you the grace for your partner's communication style, patience with your friend's emotional needs, and tools to nurture your child's authentic nature? I'm Teresa, and this is where we decode your cosmic blueprint. Now, over the past few weeks, we've explored fire moons as the emotional athletes and earth moons as the emotional architects. Today, we're diving deep into air moons, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. I call them the mental processors because they don't just feel emotions. They need to think through them, talk through them, and they need intellectual understanding to make sense of their emotional world. If you have an air moon or love someone who does, you know that they can't just sit with feelings in silence. They need to analyze, discuss, and rationalize and mentally organize their emotions before they can fully process them. But here's what most people don't understand. Their need to intellectualize feelings isn't emotional avoidance. It's how their brain creates safety to feel deeply. Now, when you tell an air moon to stop thinking and just feel, you're asking them to disconnect from their natural emotional operating system. Air moons process emotions through their mind and through their connection with others. They need mental frameworks to understand what they're feeling, communication and discussion to work through their emotions. They need social perspective and input from trusted people, space and time to think without emotional pressure, intellectual connection between their feelings and their experiences. When air moons get emotionally stuck, it's usually because they've been told their need to think about it is wrong, or they've been pressured to feel without understanding. They're not being cold or detached. They're creating mental safety to access their emotional worlds. They often feel safer in conversations than in solitude with their feelings. Gemini moon is like having an emotional journalist living in your chest. They need to talk through their feelings to understand them. And I mean really talk. Multiple conversations, different perspectives, sometimes the same story told 3 different ways. They aren't flip-flopping. They're experimenting with emotional language until it resonates. Gemini moons process emotions through communication. They might call you, text you, then want to meet for coffee to discuss the same situation because each conversation helps them understand a different layer of what they're feeling. If you love a Gemini moon, let them tell the story multiple times. They're not being repetitive, they're processing. Ask questions that help them explore different angles. Don't expect them to have one consistent emotional response. They're discovering their feelings through dialogue. Give them variety in how they process. Sometimes they need to write. Sometimes they need to talk. Sometimes they just need to research. For parents of Gemini moon children, they need to verbally process their day, their friendships, their worries. Create space for these conversations without trying to fix everything. Sometimes they just need to talk it out. Libra moon needs other people's perspectives to understand their own emotions. They're like emotional diplomats, constantly weighing their feelings with everyone else's needs and experiences. Libra moons process emotions through seeking balance and harmony. They often struggle to know what they actually feel because they're so focused on maintaining peace and considering everyone else's emotional state first. If you love a Libra moon, help them identify their own feelings separate from everyone else's. Ask, what do you need, not just what everyone else needs. Be patient when they seem indecisive. They're genuinely trying to balance multiple emotional factors. Create beautiful, harmonious environments when they're processing difficult emotions. Understand that their need for peace isn't weakness, it's their emotional processing style. For partners of Libra moons, they need you to help them access their authentic feelings. They might say, I'm fine, when they're not, because they don't want to disrupt the harmony. Gentle, consistent check-ins help them feel safe to express their real emotions. Aquarius moon, and I know this personally, needs emotional space and intellectual understanding to process feelings. We're like the emotional scientists needing to step back and analyze our emotions before we can fully experience them. Aquarius moons process emotions through detachment and analysis. This doesn't mean that we're cold. It means that we need mental distance to understand the pattern, the trigger, the bigger picture of what we're feeling. In the past, I mistook my need for space as a flaw, but now I see it as my process. If you love an Aquarius moon, give them space to process without taking it personally. Don't pressure them for immediate emotional responses. Understand that when we say, I need time to think about this, we're not avoiding, we're processing. Ask intellectual questions about their feelings. What do you think triggered this rather than how does this make you feel? Respect our need for emotional independence. I used to think my need for space during emotional situations was a flaw. My ex-partner would want to talk things through immediately, and I needed time to understand what was actually happening emotionally. Learning that this is my Aquarius Moon's natural processing style, not emotional unavailability, changed everything about how I show up in relationships. Here's how to support the air moons in your life. In relationships, don't take their need to think about it as rejection. Air moons often need to process emotions mentally before they can share them authentically. Give them time and space to think, then create opportunities for discussion. In parenting, air moon children need to talk through their emotions, get different perspectives, and understand the why behind their feelings. Don't rush them to quick emotional decisions. Let them process through conversation and connection. In leadership, air moon team members excel when they can discuss challenges, brainstorm solutions, and understand the reasoning behind emotional or interpersonal situations. Include them in problem-solving conversations about the team dynamics. You cannot heal what you don't understand, and for air moons, understanding comes through mental processing, communication, and intellectual connection to their emotional experiences. Air moons aren't emotionally detached. They're mentally engaged with their feelings. Their need to think, discuss, and analyze emotions is how they create safety to feel deeply. Whether you're a Gemini moon who needs to talk it through, a Libra moon seeking emotional balance, or an Aquarius moon requiring space to analyze, honor your mental processing style. And if you love an air moon, give them the intellectual space and communication they need to access their emotional world. And remember, every time you understand your chart more deeply, you create space for others to be exactly who they were born to be. That's how we change the world, one natal chart at a time. Drop your moon sign below and tell me how you process emotions. Do you need to talk it through, seek balance with others, or step back and analyze? I read every single comment, and I do see you.